Baby,
I read your last message all night. Not because I couldn't understand it, but because I refused to believe those would be the last words I'd ever receive from you. The room was silent. The world was asleep. But my heart was still waiting for your name to appear on my screen. I kept reading every single word. Again and again and again. Maybe I hoped the meaning would change. Maybe I hoped I'd find a hidden sentence saying, I'm coming back. But every time I reached the end, I found the same goodbye. Do you know what's strange? People think heartbreak begins when someone leaves. They're wrong. Heartbreak begins the moment you realize they're never coming back. I still remember the first time we met. The way you smiled. The way your eyes carried a kindness I had never seen before. I didn't know then that one smile would become the reason behind both my happiest memories and my deepest pain. You never promised me a perfect life. You simply promised you'd stay. And somehow, that was enough for me. I built dreams around your words. I imagined mornings with you, late night drives, endless conversations, a home filled with laughter, children running through the hallway, growing old together. It all felt so real until one message destroyed an entire future. People ask me, what did the message say? But they never ask, what did it take away? It took away my peace, my sleep, my smile, even the version of myself that existed before you left. Sometimes I still unlock my phone without thinking, as if my heart believes you'll text me, as if love refuses to accept what reality already knows. I know I should move on. Everyone keeps saying that. But tell me, how do you move on from someone who became your favorite place? How do you stop loving the person you prayed for every night? How do you delete memories that still live inside your soul? Last night, I read your message again, not because I wanted to cry, but because forgetting you feels like losing the last piece of myself. Maybe one day, your words won't hurt anymore. Maybe one day, I'll smile when I remember us. But tonight, I'm still the man. Reading your last message all night. I still remember the night we made promises under a sky full of stars. You looked at me and smiled. You said, no matter what happens, don't ever stop believing in us. I believed every word, not because they sounded beautiful, but because they came from you. Back then, forever didn't feel impossible. It felt close enough to touch. Do you remember the little things? The random voice notes. The late night calls that lasted until sunrise. The way we'd argue over nothing, then laugh before saying goodbye. Those moments seemed ordinary until they became memories. Now, I'd give anything just to hear your laugh one more time. Sometimes I wonder, did you delete our conversations? Or do you secretly read them too? Do you ever stop in the middle of a busy day and think about me? Or am I the only one still carrying a love that no longer has a home? People tell me time heals everything, but time never asks for permission before taking you away. Every sunrise reminds me that another day has begun without you. Every sunset reminds me that another day has ended without hearing your voice. Last night, I opened our old chat again. I scrolled all the way to the beginning. The first hello, the first heart, the first good night. I smiled for a moment. Then, tears quietly replaced that smile. Because I realized we never knew. We were living the days we'd one day miss the most. Maybe that's the cruelest part of love. You never know when an ordinary moment becomes your last beautiful memory. And still, even after everything, if my phone lit up tonight with your name, I know my heart would answer before my mind ever could. There was a time when my future had your name written all over it. Every dream I built had you standing beside me. Every prayer I whispered ended with your smile. I never imagined that one day I'd have to learn how to dream without you. Do you know what hurts the most? It wasn't the goodbye. It wasn't the silence. It wasn't even your last message. It was realizing that while I was fighting to save us, you had already learned how to live without me. I blamed myself. Maybe I loved too much. Maybe I cared too deeply. Maybe I answered too quickly. Maybe I stayed long after you had already left. I searched for answers inside every memory, inside every conversation, inside every sleepless night. But love doesn't always leave an explanation. Sometimes it simply leaves an empty chair, an unread prayer, and a heart that keeps asking questions no one can answer. I still remember your favorite song. I can't listen to it anymore because every lyric feels like another goodbye. Even the places we once loved now feel different. The cafe where we laughed for hours, the road where we watched the rain, the park where you held my hand, as if you'd never let go. Now they're just places. Without you, they've forgotten how to feel alive. People think memories fade. They don't. They just become quieter until one random night, one familiar perfume, one old photograph, or one simple message brings every emotion back as if nothing ever ended. And tonight, just like every night before, I looked at the sky, wondering if somewhere you're looking at the same moon, thinking about me too. There was a time when my future had your name written all over it. Every dream I built had you standing beside me. Every prayer I whispered ended with your smile. I never imagined that one day I'd have to learn how to dream without you. Do you know what hurts the most? It wasn't the goodbye. It wasn't the silence. It wasn't even your last message. It was realizing that while I was fighting to save us, you had already learned how to live without me. I blamed myself. Maybe I loved too much. Maybe I cared too deeply. Maybe I answered your messages too quickly. Maybe I gave you all of me before you ever asked for it. Or maybe I stayed long after your heart had already walked away. Every night, I searched for answers inside every memory, inside every conversation, inside every word you ever said. I replayed our moments again and again, hoping I'd find the exact second where everything began to fall apart. But love doesn't always leave an explanation. Sometimes it simply disappears without saying why, leaving behind an empty chair, an unread prayer, silent phone, and a heart that keeps asking questions no one will ever answer. I still remember your favorite song. I can't listen to it anymore because every lyric feels like another goodbye. Every melody sounds like your voice calling my name, only to disappear before I can answer. Even the places we once loved now feel different. The cafe where we laughed for hours, the road where we watched the rain, the little restaurant where you stole food from my plate just to make me smile, the park where you held my hand as if you'd never let go. Now, they're just empty places without you. Even the happiest memories feel lonely. People always say memories fade with time, but that's not true. They don't fade. They simply learn how to hide until one random night, one familiar perfume, one old photograph, one love song, or one forgotten message brings every emotion back as if nothing ever ended. Sometimes wonder, did you ever cry after leaving? Did you ever reach for your phone, wanting to text me, but stopped yourself? Did my name ever cross your mind, the way yours never stopped crossing mine? Or was I just another chapter while you became the entire story of my life? I wish I could hate you. People say it makes moving on easier, but every time I try, I remember the person who once looked into my eyes and promised, I'll never let you feel alone. Tonight, for the first time, I didn't open our chat immediately. I stared at my phone, but my fingers refused to touch your name. Not because I had forgotten you, but because I was afraid that reading your words again would break the little strength I had left. It's strange, isn't it? A person who once felt like home can suddenly become someone you can never reach again. Sometimes I imagine what would happen if we met by accident, maybe in a quiet cafe, maybe at an airport, maybe on a street. Neither of us planned to walk. Would you recognize the man who never stopped loving you? Or would I just become another familiar face, lost in a crowd of strangers? I ask myself that question more often than I should, because deep inside, a small part of me still believes in impossible things. It still believes that one day you'll look into my eyes again and finally understand how much I loved you. Not with expensive gifts, not with perfect words, but with loyalty, with patience, with prayers, you never knew I made. Every night, before I close my eyes, I ask God to protect your heart, even on the nights when you were the reason mine was breaking. Isn't love strange? You can be shattered by someone and still hope that nothing bad ever happens to them. I never wanted revenge. I never wished you pain. All I ever wanted was for you to remember that somewhere in this world, there was someone who loved you honestly, without pretending, without conditions, without asking for anything in return. Maybe that's why losing you didn't just feel like losing a person. It felt like losing the future I had already imagined, the dreams we never lived, the promises that never had a chance to grow old. I used to think love meant holding on. Now I wonder if real love sometimes means learning to let go, even when every part of your heart is begging you to stay. So tonight, I won't ask why you left. I won't ask if you ever loved me. I'll ask only one question. When you think about us, do you smile the way I still do? Before the tears quietly arrive?